Hello, this is Algebra 1, Lesson 17, and this lesson covers factors and coefficients, terms, and the distributive property. Alright, first of all, factors. Factors are going to be like when you're multiplying, so you've heard the word factor before. So like if we said 6 times 7, see if I can get my pen here. There we go. So if we said 6 times 7 equals 42, 6 is a factor and 7 is a factor. The same thing works when we're using variables. So if we said x, y, and z, x is a factor, y is a factor, and z is a factor. Coefficients. So a coefficient is going to be the number part, or it could be any part, it could be any factor, but generally when we use the word coefficient, we're talking about the number part. So if we said 3x, the 3 could be a coefficient or the x could be a coefficient, but we generally are talking about the number part. So if we said 3x, y, z, our coefficient is going to be 3. Okay? 3 would be the coefficient of x, y, z. We could also say x is the coefficient of 3yz, or y is the coefficient of 3xz. But generally, we're just going to be referring to that number part, not the variables. Okay, terms. So terms are going to be anything that is separated by a plus or minus sign in an algebraic term. So like if we have 3x plus 2y minus 4, okay? This is a term, and that's a term, and that's a term. Okay, so it's going to be the parts that are separated by a plus or minus sign. 4x to the third minus 6 plus 2xyz. We would have a term right here, 2xyz. 6 would be a term, and 4x to the third would be a term. It could even be written as a fraction. So if we had like 3x over y plus 2x over 4, right? Here's a term, and here's a term. Okay? Super easy. The distributive property. So when we talk about the distributive property, that just means that we can add or subtract first, or we can multiply first. Oh, that's driving me crazy. Okay, there we go. Now I got my pen. All right, so if we have A times B plus C, right, we could add our B plus C and then multiply times A. Let's use numbers to demonstrate. Let's say that we had 3 times 2 plus 6, right? We could do 2 plus 6 is 8, and 3 times 8 is 24. Or 3 times 2 plus 6, we could distribute. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 2 is 6, oopsie. And then 3 times 6 is 18, and we add those together, and we're still going to come up with 24. So the distributive property means it doesn't matter what order you do that in. All right, so that leads us to what is called rainbowing, what I like to call rainbowing. So let's look at another example here. Use the distributive property for this. All right, so we have 4 times 6 minus 2 plus 5 minus 7. And it tells us to use the distributive property, so that means we're just going to rainbow this. We're going to draw a little arrow, say 6 times 4 is 24. And then we're going to rainbow right here. So 4 times 2, which would be 8. Then here, 4 times 5, that would be 20. And then 7 times 4 is 28. So then I'm going to put my positives together first and then my negatives. Right here I've got positive 24 and positive 20. That would be 44 minus. And then my negatives, I've got negative 8 and negative 28. So that would be 36. And then I just subtract. And that's going to be 8. All right, let's try another one like that. Use the distributive property to expand. All right, so this one doesn't have any numbers. There's a 2 in there, but it's mostly letters. So we've got mn times x plus y plus 2p. So whenever you see the word distributive property or expand, right, that means we're just going to be multiplying from here to here. So mn times x would be mn x. Then we're going to rainbow over to here. So now I need to do mn times y, which would be mn y. And then the last one is times 2p, which would be well, first we need our number comes first before our letters usually. So we'll do the 2 first right here. So 2 mn p. And it doesn't matter what order you put those in. So I could have said x n m plus y n m plus 2 p m n, and it would mean the same thing. Okay? As long as you have the same letters, it doesn't matter the order you put them in. This one wants us to use the distributive property to expand. Now, it doesn't matter that this is over here on this side instead of on this side, right? It's touching that parentheses, so that means multiply. So what we're going to do is we are going to multiply. Okay, so distributive property just means we're going to rainbow that. Okay, so MP right there. And then we need our X and our Z. And then for the next one, we're going to be multiplying times 3y, so that would be minus 3y MP. So I got my 3y from here, and then I got my MP from over there. And then I need all that times x, so plus MPX. Now how do I know to use a plus? Because this x right here is positive. There's no negative sign in front of it. So that means this whole term right here is positive, right? So that means plus. Positive and plus are the same thing. Right, this one has more numbers in it, but we're just going to do the same thing. We're just going to rainbow that. So I have to multiply my numbers. I have to do 3 times 2x. 3 times 2 would be 6x, and that's negative because this is negative 3 times 2. Now I've got negative 3 times negative 4, which would be positive 12. And that's the answer to that one. Go ahead and pause the video and work the practice problems, and then I'll come back and work them for you. Okay, so A tells us to evaluate by adding and then multiplying. So we're going to add right here first. 5 minus 3 would be 2, and then 2 times 4 would be 8. This one wants us to multiply then add, so I'm going to rainbow that. 4 times 5 is 20. And then 3 times 4 is 12, minus 12, and that also equals 8. Use the letters A, B, and C and parentheses to write the distributive property. So that was our A plus B. Wait, no. A comes first. Let's see. It was A times B plus C, and this is in your book, equals, if I distributed that, right, did my rainbow, AB plus BC. No, AC. So my A has to distribute over to that as well. Use the distributive property to evaluate these. So 6 times 4 would be 24. 4 times 2 would be 8, and that's negative 8. 4 times 5, positive 20. And then 4 times 7, negative 28. I'm going to put my negatives together, so 8 and 28 be negative 36. And my positives would be 24 and 20, which would be 44. This looks like the exact same one we worked. So that is going to equal 8 as well. All right, and then there's a couple more. This one, use the distributive property to expand. So right here we're going to multiply. And we're going to get 2m x, y. And if you got those numbers in a different, the letters in a different order, that's okay. This one, we have to multiply our 2 times our 3, which would be 6. And then we have to include our m and our p. This one, we're going to be doing the same thing. So that one, we're going to have a right here and our xy. Right here, we're going to have plus b and our xy. And the last one, we're going to have minus 2c and xy. Alright, super duper easy. And that is it for lesson 17.